And what do you feel when you see this scene? Fear? Strangeness? Anguish? Or maybe even an unexpected urge to laugh? Why is it that pure titans, and more specifically the abnormal titans, might be the key to the success of Shingeki no Kyojin? I'm Oliver, and I have a background in psychology. This is the Psychology of Anime channel, and you're watching the segment called The Psychologist Explains. Here, we'll analyze and provide context for why we like or dislike certain situations in anime, always using insights based on my knowledge of psychology. The question is, are you ready to understand a little more about your own emotions while watching anime? Let's see if you'll enjoy it. So, why do pure titans give us such an unsettling feeling? Let's start with a very interesting psychological phenomenon. Have you ever found yourself looking at some random surface, like a wall or tile, and suddenly started to see faces or facial expressions? This isn't uncommon, and the name of this phenomenon is pareidolia. Don't worry, there's no need for concern. This is completely normal. We humans are biologically programmed to recognize shapes and patterns, especially faces, in almost everything we see around us. This is part of our evolution. We need to identify eyes, mouths, and expressions because that's how we connect with other humans, and more importantly, how we interpret our surroundings to ensure our survival. When we see a facial expression, we quickly start interpreting the emotional state of that person. Are they angry, happy, trustworthy? This is crucial for social life because identifying emotions in others helps us avoid danger or seek alliances. In fact, this ability accompanies us from our earliest months of life. Babies already show a preference for human faces, which shows how deeply ingrained this tendency to recognize and interpret faces is in us. Now, going back to the Titans in Shingeki no Kyojin, they make us uncomfortable precisely because they play with this natural tendency of ours. They have vaguely human expressions, but at the same time, they're emotionless. You can look at a Titan's face and feel something familiar, but at the same time, disturbing. It feels like something is out of place, something we can't quite understand. An interesting detail. In an interview, Shingeki no Kyojin's creator, Hajime Isayama, revealed that the inspiration for the Titans came from an experience he had while working at a cafe. One day, a visibly drunk man came in and started staring at him with a fixed, expressionless gaze. That empty, purposeless stare stirred a deep sense of fear in Isayama. He realized that it wasn't animals or fantastical creatures that scared him the most, but humans themselves. This brings us to an essential point. Humans are the greatest source of fear for other humans. It's not wild animals or fictional monsters, but our own species. When we see something that resembles us but doesn't seem fully human, like the Titans, it triggers a sense of discomfort known as the uncanny valley. The uncanny valley concept suggests that the more something resembles a human but remains imperfect or distorted, the more discomfort and repulsion we feel. Think about it. If Shingeki no Kyojin were about dinosaurs or some other non-human creature, you probably wouldn't feel the same level of discomfort. If you saw a dinosaur through the window, you might think, maybe if I stay still, it'll go away. Now, imagine if what you saw was the face of a titan staring directly at you. The uncertainty of what it might do, combined with that emotionless face, makes it so much more terrifying. You simply don't know what to expect. And this isn't something limited to titans. Naturally, we feel safer when we encounter cheerful facial expressions, like smiles. But at the same time, serious or expressionless faces can cause discomfort. Who hasn't felt intimidated by the serious look of a teacher, parent, or another authority figure? The ability of a facial expression to convey both comfort and fear is fascinating. Now, let me ask you, have you ever stood in front of a mirror and spent a few minutes just observing yourself, staring into your own eyes? At some point, did the question, is that really me, ever cross your mind? This strangeness when staring into the mirror also has a psychological explanation. When we look at ourselves for an extended period, we can start to disconnect from the familiarity of our own face, and this creates a discomfort similar to what we feel when looking at the titans. Pure titans are frightening for that very reason. They have human-like faces, but their expressions are unique, fixed, as if they are always looking at you without really seeing you. This kind of uncertainty activates our fear of the unknown. Even when we observe their faces, we can't predict what they will do next. This unpredictability is one of the reasons why the Titans are so terrifying. If we think about horror movies, one of the most unsettling situations is when a spirit or ghost stares fixedly at the protagonist. That prolonged exchange of looks heightens the tension because we don't know what to expect from that being. Similarly, if someone stares at us for too long in real life, we start to feel uncomfortable, as if we're being judged or confronted. There's always that lingering feeling. What does this person really want? That's why we feel safer when we're around people we know, because we can already interpret their facial expressions and predict how they'll react in certain situations. It gives us a sense of comfort because the unknown is what unsettles us the most. When we look at a pure Titan, we don't see any of that. We're facing something that doesn't provide clear visual answers, leaving us in total helplessness. And what about the abnormal Titans? That's when things get even more complicated. Literally, the situation gets wild. Abnormal Titans are among the most unpredictable, and it makes us think they hold remnants of a distorted human personality, almost as if they carry internal demons. A clear example of this is that shy Titan that hides behind a tree or another that lies down, seemingly calm. These behaviors cause us even more discomfort because they defy any standard pattern of action. It's as if, despite being monstrous creatures, they still have fragments of humanity, making them more unpredictable and disturbing. Take the Titan that reveres the girl who resembles Ymir, for example. It demonstrates an emotion that, at first glance, might seem human. But deep down, you know that at some point, things will take a turn for the worse. At any moment, this reverence could turn into something terrible. It's simple, yet striking at the same time, because it plays with our expectation that maybe these Titans could feel something, but in the end, we know they are pure destruction. Think about this. Now, let's talk about the movements of these Titans. Some move in such strange ways that just when you think you've seen it all, they manage to surprise you. The quadrupedal Titan, for example, is terrifying because it combines two sources of fear: the appearance of a predatory animal chasing after its prey, and human features, which add an extra layer of discomfort. It doesn't just run like an animal, but it also has a deformed human face, and that alone is enough to mess with our perception of danger. The way these Titans move unpredictably reminds us of classic horror movie scenes. Think of that iconic scene from The Exorcist, where the possessed girl crawls backward down the stairs. It's so unnatural that it instantly creates discomfort. Horror movie fans are very familiar with this feeling, and it's precisely this disconnect from what we expect that generates so much fear. But the question remains, if all of this is so disturbing, why do we enjoy watching scenes like this? Psychologist Bruno Bettelheim, in his book The Uses of Enchantment, explores the idea that, from a young age, we have a tendency to deal with deep existential dilemmas, like evil and death, through stories and narratives. This is a way to confront universal fears without exposing ourselves directly to danger. Similarly, Sigmund Freud, the famous psychoanalyst, introduced a concept called the uncanny, das Unheimliche. This concept refers to something that, while not entirely unknown, provokes in us a sense of discomfort and anxiety. We feel this when something seems familiar but is out of place or distorted. And this is exactly the sensation we get when looking at the Titans in Shingeki no Kyojin. Although they have human features, faces, expressions, bodies, something is profoundly wrong with them, which triggers a primal fear in us. This blend of familiarity and strangeness is what both attracts and frightens us. The Titans have forms and expressions we recognize, but they are somehow distorted, creating this duality of emotions. That's why the fear we feel when seeing the characters in Shingeki interact with the Titans reflects our own fear. While we can empathize with the characters, we also feel the imminent danger they face. Deep down, we enjoy feeling fear when we're in a safe environment. And that's what Shingeki offers us, a way to experience controlled fear. This concept of controlled fear is what explains the success of anime like Shingeki no Kyojin. We like feeling these conflicting and intense emotions because we know that, in the end, we're safe, watching from the comfort of our homes. It's a way to face our deepest fears without taking real risks. The same applies to other anime and works that explore horror and suspense, like Berserk, which also creates this mix of fascination and fear. Interestingly, the original Titans, those with humans inside, don't evoke the same type of sensation. This might be because, once we know there's a human behind those expressions, the tension decreases. We know there's a rational explanation for their behavior, which in a way neutralizes the fear. Now tell me, which Titan gave you the strangest feeling? And if you enjoyed this type of video, comment below and I'll bring more psychological themes related to anime. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with your friends. We still have plenty of Psychology of Anime episodes ahead. See you next time.